we have a problem, and it's with cock-sucking vampires. Now, you look back in some of the older movies, like you say, what was it? Interview with the Vampire. Damn near perfect vampire movie. The vampires portrayed in that movie were just spectacular. And it's a great movie. I mean, I'm going to go up to just say, I know some people will disagree with it, but I'm going to say what is it? Van Helsing. Great movie as well. I don't care what people say. I reckon it was a great movie with the vampires in that, excluding the whole babies and everything and how they reproduce, which was kind of stupid. But otherwise, vampires in that movie were great. And the Count Dracula with Leslie Nielsen. I know it's a comedy, but you know, Leslie, R.I.P., played a great Count Dracula. And then now you go look at now, we've got Edward Cullen. Fag. You get the people on True Blood. Over dramatic fags. I'm trying to think what's some other. It's like 12 o'clock right now, and I'm trying to think of other bad vampires, but I'm gonna just typically stick to Twilight and True Blood, because True Blood, I've watched a few episodes in my moment of shame, and basically the vampires in this are really over dramatic. I mean, they can be big glory, but this entire show was just about sex. I mean, every time, because my auntie was watching it one day, and every time I walked in, it would be vampires having sex, and people having sex, and somebody getting raped, and it's just a lot of sex, and you know, it's because sex sells and all that. But these vampires were not. I don't know. They just didn't feel them. And then you look at Twilight. Twilight, they got to be the worst vampires of all time. They fucking sparkle when they get in the light. And anybody out there who has not seen Twilight or is not aware of Twilight, I envy you. I wish I could be you. I mean, I'm gonna say, fucking, those people who are in their third world countries, I envy them because they don't know what Twilight is. I think it'd be pretty sucky if, like, you know, that's the only movie they ever got to really see was Twilight. I feel sorry for them if that was the only movie they'd ever get to see. But you go back to the now, a problem I have with vampires is, I'll go back to what I was saying. You go back to the vampires and they were all brutal and, you know, they just want to kill. They don't care. They just, you look at the, what is it? What's the one? Not Lestat. The other bad guy in Interview with the Vampire. Fuck! Can't think of it. Unless he was Lestat. I don't think he was. But you look at him, he's just a cold-blooded killer. He killed that. Oh, he turned that girl into a vampire, pretty much ruining her life. And she eventually did die, I believe. I haven't watched that movie in ages. I might go hire it this weekend, actually. But point is, these vampires back then, they were like brutal and bloody. And now you look at Twilight and you think of this as fucking gay. And a problem I do have with vampires as well is there was a belief that, you know, vampires could transform into bats. And, you know, it was all started by bats. And movies don't really touch on that anymore. I mean, you never see, like, you might see them do their super speed like they do in Twilight. I believe they did in fucking True Blood as well. But you know, they have their super speed. But no vampire ever turns into a vampire bat anymore. Sorry, I had to burp. And that's what problem that I have is that I know these are mythical things, but you can't change it. I mean, it's the same as werewolves. I mean, you say, what have they really done to werewolves? I mean, besides the fact that werewolves have become actual wolves now. I mean, there's a show called The Gates, and I do find it an entertaining show, even because, you know, it takes a different look at, you know, these people, that vampires and werewolves and succubuses and witches all live together in this one community, and that's kind of different take on it, but that's not what we're focusing on. I'm focusing on how, in that show, the werewolves are not actually, you know, half wolf, half man. they're just wolves. That's all they've used is wolves. There no digital effects like the movies should. Or you look at some of the old pictures and say, the original Wolfman. I know Wolfman Werewolf is kind of different, but essentially it's the exact same thing. And you just look at the werewolves back then, and it was actually pretty cool. I mean, you look at the new Wolfman that they brought out, and what was he? He was just a man, half wolf, who was bloody and didn't care about shit until the very end, which was kind of like, yeah, they had to end it. I mean, I did like the ending of that movie with the fact that, the main character gets killed off. Great movie, in my opinion. If a movie is able to do that, it's a great movie. I don't care how shitty it is. I mean, they could have had Hannah Montana in the movie, but at the very end she gets in a car crash and dies. That would have classed as a great movie. Or even that Justin Bieber one. I know it's supposed to be a real thing, but they could have killed him off in reality. Nobody likes Justin Bieber. Now, as for Twilight, these vampires are like, they run super speedy, and they just don't touch pretty much any of the roots of the old one. I mean, what vampire ever had feelings and said, no, I don't want to give you this curse. I don't want to give you this curse. You're going to be a vampire. It's a curse. It's not something good. Ah, I care about you so much, Bella. I mean, he wouldn't take shit if he was a real vampire. He'd be like, nah, fuck you, bitch. I'm making you my wife. Yeah. What now? You're with me. You're stuck with me forever, bitch. See? Vampires are just no good anymore. Fuck, even Eddie Murphy in Vampire in Brooklyn. That was, I think that's called. That was even a good one. I mean, that was, it was a comedy. It was great because Eddie Murphy's pretty funny. But point is, what was it? No, it was Eddie Murphy. It was Will Smith. Yeah, it was Eddie Murphy. Point is, vampires these days, and I'm probably there. They just suck dick. They don't suck blood anymore. They suck dick. And I guess some of those chicks in Twilight were pretty hot. They could suck my dick. Aw, yeah. I want to see the original vampire movies. They were cool. And hell, even werewolves. I mean, Ginger Snaps was pretty cool. Actually, fuck it. I want to see a movie that mixes all these mythical creatures together. This would be a cool concept. You get Igor, Frankenstein, Dr. Frankenstein, who are all part of the same thing. Vampires, werewolves, zombies. Yeah, you got succubuses, witches, wizards. You get knights, dragons, everything that made those things great. I mean, you shove them all in one big movie. I know it'd be really hard to do, but I think it'd be great. It would be great. I mean, could you just imagine the epic proportion? Even if we came into a 3-part movies, I mean, it'd be better than Lord of the Rings because they sucked balls as well. It's just 3 movies of people walking. I'm not gonna do the impression of Clerks 2. Just go search that out because it's a really good impression. It actually depicts those movies perfectly. But vampires these days, they just suck. And once I saw Twilight in a doctor, I did it for a friend for her birthday. She said there was gonna be blood and it's vampires, and I figured, vampires sounds pretty cool. Vampire movies haven't been shit up to this point, so I guess the underworld wasn't that perfect, but it was pretty cool. I mean, a lichen crossed with a vampire, whatever it was called, that was pretty sweet. But I didn't get why it came out blue. It's one thing I never understood. I mean, plus, werewolves like allergic to blue? No. Was it? Vampires were allergic to blue, yeah. So why would he be blue? Wouldn't he like kill himself? And how come these movies don't anymore ever involve stake to the heart? It always has to be, and I guess I wouldn't really say sunlight, but it always has to be some brutal battle for them. Why can't it be some now, as I said before my camera died, now whatever happened to normal people just going up while the vampire's sleeping? What happened to coffins? We don't see coffins in Twilight. I don't see him on True Blood. I don't see him on anything, actually, except the Gates did have, I think they had a coffin in there once. I'm too tired. I'm doing this because I love doing these rant videos. But, I miss coffins because they were pretty cool. The idea of just them sleeping. And, they slept like this too. That was cool. And then, you've seen on The Simpsons. Do I dare live out the American dream of killing my boss? Woo! At least I get to keep my job. You're fired. Oh. But the point is, Simpsons actually kept it pretty good there. They gave him the what's called stake to the heart like they should properly do. But I don't see that anymore on anything, and I'm kind of pissed off about that. Just not going back to the basics. I hate modern movies. I really do. I think her name is Stephenie Meyer. Fuck you, Stephenie Meyer.